From devastating breakups to total career and life changes, we have all had our fair share of releasing and letting go. And whether we are good at it or not, it is an intricate part of our life that feels like a revolving door. Every opening opportunity we have to release must be walked through. The decision to let go never gets easier. It doesn't match our pace, and oftentimes it catches us off guard. But we still must align ourselves with the moment, become more fluent in the language of energy and frequency, and release the energy of whatever was to move forward with a clean slate so that newness can enter, so that we can become new. I wanted to make an episode that could be helpful to anyone that is in a season of releasing or letting go or having trouble and experiencing friction around what they're leaving behind to enter into this new life, this newness, this new opportunity. I want anyone that is ready to fully release what is no longer serving them to watch this video and feel supported, so that anytime you need to, you can come back to this place and get what you need. This is also a great video that you can journal yourself through for whatever you're experiencing. So if you would like, grab any type of writing companion or even use the notes in your phone, whatever feels good for you, and go on this journey with me and keep yourself the center of the focus. And as things arise in your mind, jot it down so that you can keep it. Feel free to pause as you need. Welcome to the Ron Half Podcast, where we get real and then some. I'm your host, Jasmin.siri, and every week I will speak on topics that align with reprogramming the subconscious mind. I share my experiences and discuss how I navigate life consciously so we can reach higher heights and deeper dimensions of the mind to reach our goals from a healed and open place together. So, let's get started. I'm making this video on December 27th, where we're living in what feels like a limbo until the start of the next year, January 1st. And I always like to take this time for myself to set new intentions for the coming year or the coming months, and reassess my direction, reassess my desires, because within the last year, so much has changed within me. Sometimes my desires and my wants have changed as well. Now, this is something I wanted to sit down and do because I have more of an analytic mind. For me, doing the work, it feels like a fun game. And because it feels like play, I don't get burned out so rapidly or feel resistance while I'm doing it. Now, this process takes a lot of honesty, I will say that. Releasing and letting go means that you have grown honest with yourself about what is no longer serving you. Building this connection with yourself may be a new challenge because when you discover what works, it requires a change in action, a flushing of physical or emotional storage space that will better serve this newfound outcome that is probably more in alignment with your truth. This is all easier said than done, right? Because if we get stuck in that part of the process, what we need to let go, what doesn't work, what was bad, all of these things, it just becomes a distraction, especially in the self-development or self-help communities, big or small, because we have so much that we want to grow and expand into, and we're always striving for a better way to be. Sometimes we forget to exist in the present long enough to enjoy all that we are and all that was good, maybe. We want to take the year and throw it down and chuck it away instead of gently and obviously metaphorically setting it in a box and maybe putting it in the closet for us to always remember and keep in store the wisdom that came from maybe the not so good times. Now, I will say, some of us are still sitting in realities that we knew last year were not a reflection of our truth, but that feeling of discomfort wasn't enough to do something about. I would like to challenge that statement by saying that many of us aren't releasing because we have this idea that letting go is a parallel to something negative. And I think what's standing in the way of us really stepping into the emotional maturity to do the hard things, like letting go, is because we have yet to find the gratitude in the things that have expired in our lives. I think that's a little bit more in the vibrational energy of what we should be doing. And it's never going to be perfect every time, but that is something that we should strive towards. I'm not going to chuck the new year out. That is just taking too much energy from me to release it in a negative way. But if I delicately accept what had already happened, take what I can, leave what I don't need, and walk gracefully into the new year, I am not drained with all of the energy used in the chucking and the throwing away, you know? We naturally already create so much energy in entering into the new year. Changing the date, changing the number on the date creates so much energy. If we stop viewing it as a big deal in a way that is not revving up so much energy inside of us, maybe we'll feel better and more excitement about entering the new year. Let's get to our journals and write down 2024. And I want you to ask yourself, what did I accomplish in 2024? Now, this can be mentally, financially, spiritually, physically, anything that is of importance to you, jot it down. And then I want you to write down what you have not achieved from that list of goals that you had. Maybe you reached all of them. Maybe you reached 3 out of 5 or 2 or 1 out of 3, you know. Write down what you did not accomplish, what you wish you would have done. And then lastly, I want you to jot down what was the thing that was keeping you away from reaching those specific goals that kind of create a dig in your chest about not really accomplishing them. We can't change anything about the past or what we were not able to get to, but if you're honest with yourself, what stood in your way? When I processed the things standing in my way, I got deeper and asked which of the obstacles in my way were things that I could control. And once I saw it clearly and from a higher and more accountable perspective, the challenges are not the main priority anymore. Once the speed bumps have been laid flat and I can get back to the gratitude, back to the power that I have and see that I was above the problem the entire time, maybe just a little lazy, I felt better about what was to come. I was able to give myself grace, and with time, I will make a better decision. Nothing is final. Even when we release, it doesn't mean we're going to leave this earth afterwards. And I had to realize that it wasn't a big deal if things that I chose weren't the right thing. Maybe I didn't have a perfect year, but the year was not all bad. There was so much I received and so much that I had overcome, and the ability to accept that is the very energy that I needed to actually let go, to embody it enough. My pitfalls gave me the platform to discover new ways of being better. I get to discover, in my own way, better habits to cultivate. If I never had the bad, I would have never gotten to that point, that realization. When I ride the powerful energy of gratitude on the path forward, it's because it's a frequency high enough to meet myself where I want to be, or it gives me the energy to actually push forward. If I'm sitting and I'm sulking in all of the negative things and the ways that things didn't work, it's not moving me anywhere. It's just causing me to spiral inward and maybe a little bit downward. The point that I'm trying to say is staying in motion. Not just turning inward into yourself all of the time, but creating a force that is allowing you to travel forward and maybe even upward. Because although there were parts within your character or in my character that developed a routine to get me this far, there's obviously more work to do. And I've gotten far enough to see that there's a different level of being. And because of that, I make a turn, you know? And then when you realize that it's time to make a turn, you have gratitude for that awareness. And you're not sitting in a delusion that if I continue to spiral inward and downward, yes, you'll learn a lot more about yourself, but you're just kind of overthinking in a static state. So we don't want to sit in shame and the what ifs and what could have been. That is when we lose our power. That is when we continue to have the same year that we had before. All we're doing is attracting more opportunities to do that. Never allow your moments of honesty to be a reprimanding of your fire. We want to fan our flames, not completely blow them out. And that statement is very important to me, because if you're someone like me that was a perfectionist that just kind of started taking action, you get out of the not so successful year, and because it wasn't so successful, or wasn't perfect, everything didn't align the way you thought, you run back to your shell. And I just need you to kind of pipe it up a little bit more. That's just it. You just kind of have to pipe it up and feel that energy of there's more to be done. There is a lot more in you that should be shared. I think there's a small part in all of us that is afraid to do the things that we've never done to get to where we need to be, because we haven't yet experienced the fulfillment on the other side of it. There's nothing really calling us to that other side if we haven't really had the feeling yet. You know, I think for me, I never knew what it was like to win in that way before, so I don't really know what I'm fighting for just yet. That was kind of all a lack of faith, and I'm being honest with myself now. I was too afraid to let go of who I've been because I didn't know what the success felt like on the other side. But what if I told you that you haven't even experienced the best that you've ever felt, your favorite sunset or flavor, and maybe these experiences exist on the other side of the decisions and sacrifices you have to make, or the overcoming of 12 losses and 1 to 3 wins? And are you prepared to fail a bunch of times? Can you shake off your losses just as quickly as you can welcome your wins? Better yet, can you welcome your losses for the wisdom gained from that experience and chemically change in your mind to see them as wins too? I think that is the new dimension of thought that is just so above, so different for us, especially now, because we are in the generation that carries maybe a stronger strand of the trauma gene. If you're the first generation to escape that conscious level in your bloodline, we have to start exercising our minds around this level of awareness, this level of abundance that is available to us, so that our children can have the minds that are expanded enough to conceptualize abundance without the fear or internal struggle of unworthiness to have it. And I hope I haven't lost you there. I just felt like that was really important for me to say. And sometimes I go on a tangent, and I'm sorry. Remind yourself that you actually do have options. You just haven't chosen them yet. And every time an opportunity arises for you to create a different outcome, you slip back into older versions of yourself every time. And I want you to try to do new things, make new decisions, responding differently. Something could change in your life positively just by responding to something differently than you ever have before. Let people see something new in you, or something new that has changed in the way that you respond to the energy heading your way. And maybe the world will respond to that in giving you what you desire most, you know? We don't know the options we have at releasing certain people to even know how to embody it. And that is normal. If you experience betrayal from a coworker or a family member, they can't just vanish out of thin air because of our feelings. You know, we have to find ways to energetically dismiss ourselves, not to make them feel unwanted or abandoned, but to protect ourselves. And what does that look like? You know, are you still able to have small talk? Are you much better not even acting on their existence at all? You know, whatever it is, you have to decide. This was very hard for me because I love to react and create a reaction that made a person feel bad about what they did to me. You know, it was childish. You know, I reached a point in my life where I don't owe anybody anything, not even my anger and disappointment, because the cost is too high. It does more to me energetically to exist in that space than it does to them. So why do I give them that? Why not just let go and pivot around? As long as you're still here, you have options. Forgiveness can look like many things as well. You have options in that as well. But taking a hit out of your own self-respect just so the other toxic people in your life have something to say about you, can feel like you guys are one and the same, that's not worth it to me. Because anytime I acted out of retaliation because of someone else's behavior towards me, the blame was always transferred to how I responded. And it was never worth it because it started to question my character and who I was to myself. You know, my truth is so important that it's all that matters. So I had to find new ways of expressing pain and discomfort with renewal and releasing. And that worked better for me. I think it was desperation of community, of, relationship, all of those things that made me fight to be understood by these people that I carried in such high regard. And I think in 2025, I'm choosing removal over reconciliation. And I don't want to teach people a lesson or exist in their orbit long enough to show them why they should listen to me or that they should believe what I'm saying. If I've already learned the lesson, my truth is enough. And anyone's response to my truth shouldn't change the way I feel about my own truth. That is a very vulnerable place to exist in because sometimes you will be alone. But it is worth it because when you are releasing, you can't take everything and everybody with you. And are you okay with that? I think obviously we fear letting go because there's an outcome we still cling to. In that relationship, we're still optimistic about their abilities to love us. We want them to love us above anyone else. We just want to be loved by them because of this idea that we had in our head and how it looked when they chose us. We think the toxicity of someone else's inconsistency is more attractive than a new normal of peace and the love we've always wanted. Even at the job, we think being the last employee that hasn't left the company after experiencing the abuse and the inconsistencies makes us more valuable or irreplaceable or entitled to a better outcome. And most times, sometimes, it does not. But we just have to ask ourselves, why was the first time not enough to release it? What do we stick around for? Maybe not even the first time because people make mistakes. Why after the fifth disrespecting thing? It wasn't enough for you to transition on. Speaking of desperation, how many of us could just not accept when it was our time to leave? Or when the strategy that we were continuing with just wasn't prosperous enough? When the ship was fully sinking and you thought that your presence on it alone would keep it afloat? This is all a sign that you've created imaginary rules in your brain about what should work and when things should turn over. And oftentimes that just never happens. You're creating these imaginary rules in your mind and policing every outcome that wasn't designed by you. It's like the universe doesn't need a hall monitor and you just have no control over what is to come. Drop the rules and the expectations. Don't mistake the power that you have in your being to do great things as the ability to create barriers and pathways for the divine to exist in. If people and the world are like the landscape of the ocean, the ocean has trenches, it has cliffs, it has all of these things. It's not just one flat surface. I think God and the universe and the divine is the water inside the ocean. Like, it doesn't care how many trenches form. It's just abundant. And somehow it works. And we wouldn't have it any other way, right? Releasing the physical and emotional storage space within us that just does not belong because of what we've experienced through it, to create space for what actually may be, or the opportunities to experience more of what is in alignment with us, and the trial and error that also comes after that. Sometimes we assume that when we flush out the bad past, new things come and we're instantly going to love and enjoy it, and we set this expectation that whatever's going to come next is going to be good, better, or the best, and sometimes that doesn't happen. I wish that I could say that every time you leave a past relationship or that last job, the next one that comes into your life is the best situation that you've ever had. And sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just another stepping stone of experiencing a little bit more things that you actually like, so that you can use that in your tool bank of discovering more things that are in alignment with you. I think sometimes we stop ourselves from moving forward or experiencing the new thing because it's not perfect the next time. I don't think anything ever is going to be, but we use that still and find gratitude for that still. And I want to get you to realize that even if the new thing isn't the best thing, it is something that is getting you more in alignment with yourself, enough to have gratitude for it and release it when it is time to. I find myself often looking to the future for this future version of myself that I'm going to be proud of, and that takes time away from being proud of the present thing that I am existing in right now. I think so often I want to call this higher version of myself to me, not even realizing this version of who I am is a higher version of my past. And I don't congratulate myself enough for just being who I am. There's this fine line between like narcissism and like just pure gratitude for who I am, and I walk that line very freely. I don't want to exist in my ego, but then I started to realize sometimes my ego isn't necessarily a bad thing. There's great service in having an ego because it allows me to stand in my power enough to honor myself, my feelings, my truth. And you're always back and forth in escaping the ego, entering it when it serves you, and then escaping it again. And I think in a few videos prior to this one, I talked about like not really having it all figured out, and there's beauty in that. And I'm also fully embracing that when I want to release and let go, because a lot of times in the decisions that we make, we shame ourselves for making those decisions. At one point, they felt right. They felt good. And instead of getting down on yourself about what felt right in the moment for you or what isn't working right now, just appreciate all the good moments that you had. It was good once upon a time, and that goodness is something you should hold on to create a gentle release. I think most of the things that stuck out to me in releasing and moving forward and letting go is limiting its importance on what I need to release. I wasn't letting go of those relationships because of how important those relationships were to me. It was like breath. It was like more important than life sometimes, these whack-ass relationships that I've been in. And it was all because I didn't trust, or I didn't know what was better for me. I hadn't experienced yet the thing that will click in my mind that will show me that this is not enough. What I'm saying is, never make the moment, never make the things that you need to release, never make the things that enter your life larger than the life that you create on your own, by your passions, by your interests, by your integrity, by your morals as a person. And never be too shrunken in your spirit to feel like you cannot release what is not serving you. Release the importance. Nothing is more important than how you feel when you are in your own shell, in your own body, and alone. Surrender to the natural flow of things coming and going. If you are still holding on to things, there won't be much in your hands for you to carry. I don't want to go like super corny, but the Bag Lady song, it's for real. Like, you're going to hurt yourself carrying all of the things. I think you should just release, pack light. That's like a real thing. Or even you're going to miss your bus. You can't hurry up because you got too much stuff. It's like you're not even able to exist in the frequency, in the vibration of what you're actually fighting for, because there's so many things that are densely holding you back. And is it worth it to have all of these, groups of experiences that you can take with you, but none of them are actually getting you in alignment with what you want to experience, what you need to have. And when I speak to women older than me that I genuinely feel are emotionally immature, they have a lot of experience. Like, don't get me wrong, they have a lot of wisdom and experience, but it's also rooted in pain. And I can tell they hold on to their pain as the cover book of their experiences instead of how they kind of overcome and move forward. Time is not an indicator that you're moved on from a situation. I think it's how you move forward in your life and the ways that you act and respond to more situations. And if you're still responding to things the same ways you did when you were 21, 22, 17, 18, but you're 52, 53, 54, I don't want to hear about the couple of experience that you have of responding in the same ways. I'm sorry, it's just not appealing to me. It's not. And also the flow of life comes with winning and losing. You're going to lose, and then you're going to win, and then you're going to lose, and then you're going to maybe win, lose, win. It's like there is no perfect track record, but you have to be able to travel light enough to release just as much as you receive. You know what I'm saying? Let me stop talking because I gotta go to work in like a couple of hours. But thank you all so much for making it to this far into the episode. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at jasmin.siri. And if you have Spotify or Apple, download the episodes, download that podcast so I know that you are engaged and you're listening to me or you're wanting to be a part of my journey. I will see you guys in my next one. Happiest of New Year's, and I will see you guys in 2025.